It's okay. I feel like you and I have a lot of the same reactions as far as things goes because there's a lot of tweets that I'll show my girlfriend here and
Yes,
she sort of does that, oh, that's
that's
hilarious.
funny.
Whereas at least yours are funny. Now, on Veda's side of things, she's
Sometimes.
obviously a fantastic individual and like for lack
Yes.
of a better way to put it, my notes here literally say hashtag couple goals, but I think that anybody who wants to follow either of you guys can get a good glimpse of that themselves. But what I wanted to ask you guys about is, or yourself, I guess, about was how has she influenced your wrestling career? Because I think you guys are both very great examples of driven individuals. You've done a lot of different things. How has she influenced or inspired you as far as that side of things goes?
She has a brilliant, brilliant mind for professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
We think about it in the same way. Uh, and we've always helped each other. Like being together at a wrestling show means that we're gonna have a big amount of input on each other's matches. Like
Mm-hmm.
we'll always like I'm gonna plan my match with my opponent, but I'm always gonna go over back to her and relate to her, and then she'll go, "Oh, use this instead of that, and then this
Yeah.
there, and then switch this that." Oh, okay, no problem. And that's always been like a constant. So that's been great. Um, in a more concrete way, like obviously with the way my career went, I had to travel a lot, and I've had to travel a lot, and we have always been traveling together, or not always, but for like 4 years we traveled together, and that made it a lot simpler and a lot more like fun to organize. And things like we're wrestling in England for 2 months, we have 5 days off. Let's go to Paris for a week, or let's go to Vienna for a week, which we've been able to do is are things that I probably would not have chosen to do by myself. And
Yeah.
it's also made like traveling for wrestling can get pretty lonely and pretty sad, and just being able to do it with someone whose company I enjoy so much has made the whole experience just that much better. So that's
Mm-hmm.
been very nice. But also mostly I think like a big part is I mentioned my brother earlier, and I think something that's missing from wrestling is real like coaching. And I had it with my brother, and I have it with Veda now, and it's immensely helpful. But it's just having someone like whom you trust to always give you good feedback and sort of knows what you want to do with wrestling, and someone that you trust to be honest with you and well-meaning, which is the most part, because in wrestling
Yeah.
a lot of people are going to give you advice, but it's not always the best advice, especially from someone
Yep.
who doesn't know you, or they might not always like have the same goals. But having someone
Mm-hmm.
like my brother did, and like Veda, who knows exactly what I want and is not afraid to tell me this was bad, don't do it, this was great, do more of it, because I
Mm-hmm.
fully trust them, is immensely helpful.
Oh, absolutely. And like, I guess the easy example for me is like, it's pretty easy for me to sit and tell you you're great at pro wrestling. And it would be pretty hard for me to sit and pick something out of like a match you had with Bandito or something along those lines where I could sit and say, oh, you could do this better. Whereas I would have to assume, like you say, she's a great mind, might be able to pick up those little things that normal people wouldn't be able to do.
Correct. And it's also the fact that like we followed each other's career and evolution closely,
Yeah.
right? Like the worst thing is someone would say like, "Oh, don't do this." Like say some aspect is bad, but not realize that this aspect was terrible, and you've done like you've gotten way better at it, and that's been something that's difficult for you. And then someone just says, "Oh, that's bad," because they haven't seen anything before. Then that comment is
Mm-hmm.
not helpful at all, because it's something like there is, in my matches there's a lot of things that I will choose to do because they're difficult and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
very good at them, and I want to get better at them, so I put them in the match in order to be able to work on it in that
Yeah.
environment. And it that takes knowledge of my career in order to be able to give accurate feedback on that.